heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you wanna know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Yes, we are here.
We are here. I'm Robin Rice Olmsted.
And I'm Dr. Natasha Wilson.
And we are coming to you from two opposite sides, opposite corners of the earth. You know, it seems far away, but really, at the end of the day, it's kind of close, you know? It's amazing that we can get to other ends of the earth in, just hours.
Yeah, actually, we're just an ocean apart, actually.
Yeah, that's true. So I am today I am in New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah, and I'm close to the Sunshine Coast today because I'm working in clinic on my Wednesdays now. So I'm closer to the Sunshine Coast. Normally I'm in Brisbane on today.
And so what is the Sunshine Coast?
Oh, sorry, Sunshine Coast of Queensland. I'm in Australia, but I don't know. The people who regularly join us, I thought they knew that by now, but I'll say it anyways. Yep, I'm in Queensland, Australia, not in Brisbane today, up north, more north on the Sunshine Coast, where I work in clinic as a clinician and provider to veterans.
Yeah, I just don't like to ever assume, I like to believe we're getting all these new people every week and that they need to know where we are. So I'm just like, I just like to tell them, even though it's repetitive for us, I like everybody to be super informed. So we are producing our own show today. So if you are here, you are so lucky because there's going to be no commercial break. Why?
No commercial break.
Because we don't know how to do it, and we're not going to even attempt it. That's what you call girls behaving metaphysically. Yeah. We are going with the flow, and we know exactly which way the flow goes. So we're not going to try to coerce it in a different way. So what we like to do here as girls behaving metaphysically is pull a card to get started.
Some of I've already shuffled.
A woo-woo practice, but there's, angel cards, there's tarot cards, there's every new thought guru has their own cards, Wayne Dyer cards, and all kinds of things. So we're working today with Natasha's deck of cards, which she has shuffled. Welcome, Maverick. Good to see you.
Hi, Maverick. Okay.
So Maverick, just send some mojo to the cards and we'll see what we come up with today.
All right, let's see. Here we go. I feel like we've gotten this one before, but maybe not. But look at this card. It's so beautiful. It says, celebrate growth and breakthroughs. And she looks like a samba dancer. I'm pretty sure she's a samba dancer.
Yeah, she does look like a samba dancer or a Vegas showgirl. One of the two.
One of the two.
Depending upon where you are.
Yeah. So celebrate growth and breakthroughs.
Well, before we go to this piece, I want to just say a little bit about last week, because what we did was we asked you to sit with the card throughout, I believe was grace and gratitude and answering the call, because answering the call. And I think it's kind of fitting that celebration one would come up now. I don't know about you, but I felt like I got called a lot to the place of answering the call. I was like, God damn, can you stop calling? I felt like, is this really mine to do? But I felt like there was a lot going on, and I'm joking, but I'm not joking in that I felt like I was constantly being called into a place of anchoring a different kind of consciousness. Not that consciousness is any different or better than anyone else's, but I was called into situations where I knew people couldn't hold the consciousness in that moment for necessarily the highest and the best. You know what I mean?
Like what? Tell me, what happened?
I don't even know. It's just very cool. I'm trying to think. Like during the week, I kept thinking, "Oh, this is a good example." But now that I'm called to need a good example, um, I don't really know. It just felt like, answering the call, the time is now. I felt like it came up a lot in different ways. I had to do a talk this weekend at a spiritual center online, and the talk ended up being well, it was called "The Magic, the Mystical, and the Madness," which was also a class that Gil and I did 4 years ago when everybody started freaking out about what could possibly happen politically. And it feels like we're on that verge again from the conversations we're having. And so, like, I did a talk on that, but in that talk, I said to a minister, because I am not a minister, please let it be known. I said, I am clear that I was ministering to myself, that I was talking about time is now, it's not, we can't sit and talk about, oh, what if this happens and what if that happens and that kind of thing, just really being clear that we've got to step into the power that we have.
Yeah. I think the thing is remembering remembering too that we are power. I'm actually reading a book about authentic power right now. So I'll tell you more about that, but finish what you were saying. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's it. That's good.
I agree. The time is now.
So did it show up for you during the week?
I feel like it definitely showed up for me during the week. I feel for me, it showed up a lot, not so much in, it showed up in my professional life a lot, like to sort of step into what is my calling, like to step into it more fully, to sort of really look at these places in myself where I felt like an imposter in my own life. It's really crazy. And so I've been in a lot of situations over the last week that really called me to really start to release that, because it's just not a narrative that serves me, and there's no real evidence for that, Yeah. The other thing is, like, when I look at, so we have this new card today, right? So celebrate growth and breakthroughs. So my youngest child, who I can kind of thank for actually doing this job that I do, this other job that I do right now, which is great. I love this work. I'm really happy that I decided to do it. But I decided to, instead of just growing my private practice, like step into working with other clinicians, working with colleagues. I have a lot of skills, a lot of spiritual gifts. Those two come together in really beautiful ways, even though people have this sense that, like, oh, the clinical is not spiritual. Well, we don't do that, right? And with Girls Behaving Metaphysically, the clinical is absolutely spiritual. And my daughter, my youngest daughter, is now in school full time, which means I didn't want to be home. So I wasn't going to like expand my private practice. I wanted to go back into professional life and working with colleagues. So I took this position. And today, my baby, my little nugget, she's still 6. She is getting the school assembly award because she's just worked so hard. And she is the cutest little thing ever. I was looking for my other phone so I could just show people a picture of her. I don't usually put a lot of stuff on my public social media, but I'll show you her photo because she is the cutest thing, and she's getting the Public Assembly Award today because she has worked so hard. Look at her. There she is. There's my nugget. I'm so proud of her. So we will be celebrating her growth and her breakthroughs today at her award ceremony.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
So excited. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, okay. So, moving. So, anything else you want to say about that for last week? And let's move into the new week.
No, last week, not so much. I just feel like the calling is continuous. I feel like the calling is continuous. Like I came into work on Monday, and the woman who owns this clinic, she was like, all of the new grad social workers want you to mentor them and they want to pay you. And I was like, let's build a program, right? So I'm just like listening to the call. Like every place I feel like my soul has the calling. I'm just learning to say yes. And that part of me that felt like an imposter in my own life, I'm just realizing that I could either give that energy or I could really look at it, wrap some love around it, and send it into the nothingness from where it came. And look at, like, yeah, we're all here on the planet to be a beneficial presence. And so, yeah, let's step into that calling. So that's the work I've been doing. So I feel like I'm answering the call at every moment and at every sort of iteration. So not perfectly, but doing it, you know?
Oh, that's a whole nother topic. Perfect and imperfect. That's a whole nother topic. That's actually been the theme this month for Centers for Spiritual Living is perfect, imperfect. So that's a whole nother topic that, yeah, I've been playing with in my mind. But yeah, I totally hear you. I mean, really, I actually talked about that in my talk as well, just feeling like an imposter. I didn't say those words exactly, but I mean, I recognized that when somebody was like, what do you do? And I was like, I went into the thing of what I do, which is always complicated at best because I usually tailor it to whoever I'm talking to because I do so many things. Otherwise, it just feels like I do this and I do that and I do this. And people are like, okay, but how do you make money? And, yeah, so I was having that same conversation with myself have you ever like listened to somebody, like when you're about to speak or do something and you listen to them say your bio and you're like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. Like, oh yeah, I did do that. Like I think, wow, even though I wrote it, I don't think about it, And so it's so interesting the way we kind of compartmentalize and separate from the truth, in a way. Yeah, so it's really interesting. So I do think celebration moves right into the time is now. I think that I feel so, as I said, we're in that stage of life where people are getting a little nervous about the election in the United States and what's coming next and what's going on and how on earth people are shooting at people and all of those things, and it really, I don't know, just makes you wonder, just makes you want to really anchor in the truth of who you are and be able to celebrate those moments and that. Because if we get caught in the appearances, not a lot celebrating going to be going on.
Are you finding that a lot of the clients that see you as a practitioner, they're carrying a lot of worry or doubt because of what's happening politically right now in the U.S.?
Yeah, I'm finding a lot of angst, and I'm finding it not only in my clients but among practitioners. Not that they're anxious, but that they want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I found 4 years ago. So we started a program called The Magic, the Mystical, and the Madness to talk about all of that and how the appearance of everything is indeed part of the mystical. As crazy as that seems, right? Like, I think of mystical, like, the magical, mystical kingdom of Disneyland kind of thing. It's like, I don't think of it as Washington, D.C.,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's interesting. I did want to tell you one thing, though. So diverting about my week. So here in Girls Behaving Metaphysically, we like to say that we put the spirit in spiritual, because even though it's 10 in the morning where Natasha is, on a good day, it would be a cocktail hour and we would be having a cocktail. And so I sometimes have to hold down that. So I myself, I got this.
What is that?
And what is that? I went on a date night with my husband, and we had so much fun because we went to a concert and we saw New Kids on the Block, Paula Abdul, and DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Oh my God, that's like my childhood.
Right? I was like, okay, this can only be fun. So this was my choice for our date night, and I surprised him because I was like, it can't be bad. It can't, even if we're just people watching, it can't be bad. And oh my God, there are New Kids on the Block was not my jam. That was not my thing. But okay. And
it was mine. I had a crush on Donnie Wahlberg. Can I just say that?
Yeah.
A big crush. A big crush.
I know, my friend was freaking out. She was like, "Oh my God, Jordan!" I'm like, "Oh my God!" I mean, I'm like, "Oh my God!" Here are these 50-year-old men, and they're still taking their shirts off and showing you their stomach. I'm like, "Yeah, no, somebody needs to talk to you about that." It didn't matter. It didn't matter because it was just fun. And God bless Paula Abdul. I mean, she was great. She was fine. But, it's just interesting to watch these people. DJ Jazzy Jeff, he was great. He was great. He was as great as ever because it's just what he does. But anyway, so this was my New Kids on the Block Shaker Cup. That's my New Kids tour. And they brought me a very expensive drink in it. And a shaker, not only a shaker, but it has a little shot glass on top.
Oh my goodness.
Now I feel like we need these for Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Okay, I have to tell you.
Picture.
I think so. And if we keep doing the show at this time, though, you're gonna have to be the one holding down the fort because I definitely can't drink in clinic. Like.
Well, we're gonna have to. I guess we'll have to bring it in on our retreats, or we'll have to do special.
Yeah.
I don't know, but anyway, it was so much fun. It really was fun, and it was just such a great day to people watch. I mean, there are these 60-year-old women screaming and crying, and I'm like, really? Oh my God,
girl! New Kids on the Block was a phenomenon. I mean, I was like a young girl. I don't know. I'm saying like I had a crush. I was like 12, 13? Like, yeah. So I would have been one of those 50-something-year-old women screaming.
It's crazy. I know, but I think oh my God, you realize that they're up there and they're either married or whatever they are. I'm not convinced that everybody's batting on the same team, but that's okay. Still could be married. So they're up there. I mean, you'd think you could differentiate. I mean, they've got signs, then they've got on old T-shirts with the puff paint on them. It was for real out there. Welcome, Amanda. Good to see you. we're talking about my date night to see New Kids on the Block and Paula Abdul. And Paula Abdul, I mean, she's great. She's fine. And she's dancing and what is she? I think she's 62 or something.
Mm-hmm.
I knew her age that night, but and there were times when I wanted to go. She had all these dancers with her that would lift her up and twirl her around, and it's like I wanted to go. Paula, just sing, and just move.
Bless her. She wants to put on a show,
which is fine, but it's like, you got to figure out the way to do it that complements you as well. But all in all, for me, who had no stakes in the game, it was so much fun. And who can argue with the shaker cup?
I know, that is amazing. We definitely should do one for girls behaving metaphysically, and we should have one that's a shaker cup, and then we should have one that's like a smoothie shaker.
And we should have a coffee cup for you over there that's getting up when you turn our show on.
Yeah, I don't drink. Well, I do drink coffee.
Coffee, tea, hot water, hot chocolate, whatever you Aussies drink in the morning.
I like that because I like not just Aussie. So Maverick and Amanda, who both joined us, they're in New Zealand. So so they're not even in Australia, but they're in my neck of the woods. So all good.
All good.
Yeah.
All right. So normally we would take a commercial break here, and you would see all the New Thought things going on, including, I'll tell you, one of the commercials is Conference of the Americas, and that is coming up in August in Mexico, and I will be going. Gil, my husband, will be speaking, and Gil and I will be leading a workshop. So if you're interested, come join us. It's going to be in Guadalajara. Well, no, Lake Chapala, which is right outside of Guadalajara. And I'm very excited. It's going to be super fun.
Nice. I have been feeling so nesty lately. Like, I don't want to travel internationally this year. Like, I have clients who really want me to come to America, and I really wanted to go to America to do a retreat in October, which is I usually do during my birthday week. But I don't know. I just don't want to be away from my kids. They keep changing. They just keep changing. And I realized last year when I was there with you, and then I left and I went to Tahiti, and it was like I was only gone for 2.5 weeks, and I came, and my kids, they just changed. So I don't know. I feel like maybe something is happening in my life. I don't know.
How old is your oldest?
Alexis just turned 9, a week and a half ago. She just turned 9. Did I tell you about the Build-A-Bear birthday party we had?
Yes. Yeah, you did.
It was insane. But
so she's 9, so that's okay. Yeah, I agree with you. Kids do change super fast, and so my advice would be, yes, definitely, stay home, probably, and don't go as international as you would usually for about the next 4 years, and then you'll be ready to travel.
I think for a lot of reasons for the next 4 years, I want to stay put, to be honest with you. Yes, let me just name it. So the part of me that does drop into worry, doubt, and fear, there is that part of me that exists. And I literally just turned off all news this week because it seems like every time I check in on the news at home, I'm like, what now? What next? What the heck? So I don't know. Something about me is just like, just chill. Stay in this part of the world.
Well, but I think you bring up a really good point, and maybe that's what we should have a little conversation about is, what happens when we look at the news, and how do we make that metaphysical? Because I think, that's part of the rub, if you will, around people wanting to talk about what's going on and politics and in the world, and and just in the world at large. I mean, obviously, as a girl behaving metaphysically, I have my opinions, However,
Mm.
that said, you know, I don't know. Is the crazy part that, a man that has all these convictions and could have 88 indictments be allowed to run for president? Or is the crazy part that everybody's throwing their hands up in the air going, no, Joe Biden can't run for another term, blah, blah, blah. But nobody's talking about getting him out of office now. Like, why is it okay that he's there for the next 6 months if he's not good enough to, you know what I mean? If there's that much concern, it's like the whole thing to me is kind of crazy, Miki.
I think that it's a soul searching moment, honestly. And I think it's a collective soul searching moment for the United States, but also for the West, because France just had some snap elections. So I have friends just like you all over the world. And I really think, when you say, can a man with like 80, 100, however many enormous number of convictions actually be president again of the United States? I think it says something about a reckoning that's happening. I think on a soul level. I think, even in places like Australia, right? What is now Australia was once a penal colony for England. And the United States before it was the United States, was a colonial hub of England, of France, and of Spain, and of the Netherlands at one point. And I think there is something about the times, something about what's happening now that is calling us to really do some deep, deep soul searching. I do think it is sort of the last gasp of breath of a system that is going through a forced transformation. But we know change and transformation is multi-directional. So I feel like I'm saying that in one way because I see the potential and I see the possibility of what can happen if there is a way for us to collectively look at what our soul is trying to show us on a collective level. That's what I that is what I see. It's not just what I choose to see, it is what I see. What I also know is nothing is fixed. Things are always changing. But I'm finding that I'm needing to really care for the parts of me that see this as a transformational time collectively for what is called the United States, but including the entire world. And then I'm also needing to care for the part that feels the anxiety of these kinds of shifts that I think we're definitely facing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. And I'm still perplexed by the fact that, I guess on the one hand, it's like the big universal lesson, right? If you don't deal with it the first time, it's, it'll come back.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated that we're here, that we find ourselves here. I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, I feel like I do have a knowing. I have a knowing. Like we keep facing the same shadow over and over again. And I think it is because there is a deep need for people, for all of us, to get real with what we've inherited as a system collectively, what we've inherited. And I feel like I'm speaking around things, but I'm just going to speak directly to it. The United States has ghosts. We have the ghost of slavery, we have the ghost of colonization, we have the ghost of forced removal of indigenous people. We have these ghosts that we need to care for. At least ghosts is how my great grandma used to talk about them. But this is our collective history that has ramifications in terms of the inequities that are so stark in the especially in places like this. It's so stark that I feel like we have to come to terms with this. This is not about engendering shame. It is not about blame, but it is about how do we move through things in an honest way, both individually and as a collective. And I feel the United States, we keep revisiting this because like each time we get the opportunity to be like, nope, let's take the brave road. Let's take the road where we actually look at the less than wonderful parts of us. Right. We turn and we decide like, no, that's too hard, or it's easy to blame. It's easy to, whatever. So we're going to keep revisiting it. And hopefully enough of us make the decision to do the courageous work, the compassionate work.
Right.
Because I don't know about you, but I'm tired of just in my lifetime revisiting this kind of madness.
Great. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's interesting because I feel like we've done it, on some. And like one time I went to an astrologer. I guess this was probably, I don't know, but maybe 4 years ago. When was COVID? So it was probably right before COVID kind of time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was right before the elections and all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And the astrologer did the chart of the United States of America and the chart of Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fascinating to see, but what I remember in this moment was just the chart of Donald Trump was that he kept saying that there was like the whole side that has to, I'm not an astrologer person, but the whole side of the thing that has to do with love and relationships and all that was empty. All of his things were in the other houses, right? But he kept saying, he is like Teflon. He is like Teflon. He will escape, all of these things, and he was like, he's going to have a little trouble here and there, but he's like Teflon. Everything just slides off of him. And so, I think about that. I mean, I just think about that and all the things that are coming up and in the attempt on his life and all of those things, if that indeed was an attempt on his life. I don't know. It is definitely an interesting time to be us. Right?
Yeah, it is. And I realize, I don't always think of myself as like a privileged being, but I'm definitely feeling quite privileged to not be there right now, to be perfectly honest. I not worry, but sometimes I do worry, about my family, because all my family is in the United States, besides my children and my current partner. Everybody else I love is there in the U.S. So there is a part of me that worries, and I do feel very privileged right now. To have this amount of spaciousness between me and what I believe is this huge transition, huge transformation that what is called the United States is going through. And I was even thinking about that language, like Teflon, he's Teflon. And I think there's even like this nickname, Teflon Don. I think about the power of the word. And so when we collectively think in that way, the power of that word, right? So like all this energy around him is basically saying he's Teflon. He believes it. collectively people believe it. And so that attempt on his life, Teflon. Yeah, just
Yeah.
the power of the word. Power of the
Absolutely
word.
was the first thing I
Power of the
thought.
word.
I was like, wow. I mean,
Power of
what,
the word.
you know, and then there's the other theories that was it an attempt on his life?
Yeah, that's where I'm just like, look,
Yeah,
I'm not interested.
yeah, I gotcha. I'm with you, sister. So the question becomes, because you probably have clients too that are, get somewhat stressed out over this. And it's like, how do we maintain, I mean,
Robin.
let me just ask the question anyway.
Yeah, go ahead.
If we, I mean, if I was a fearful person, which I'm not, but if I was a fearful person and I was looking at all of the things, and the state of democracy, how do we anchor or be with or reconcile what it appears we're seeing and feeling with what we know to be our vision or our version or what we believe the founding fathers or whomever had in mind?
Ask the question one more time, please.
Oh God, don't you know? Like these questions come out, and I'm like, I don't know what I said. But basically was, how do we reconcile? There's a knowing that we have. Most of us as spiritual folk, on some level, there's a knowing that we have that it's going to be okay, and there's always the reality of doesn't feel okay, doesn't look okay, doesn't look anything like the answers to the test questions in elementary school about democracy and freedom and all of those things. And so how do we reconcile with what are our concerns and our fears about going forward? And what if he becomes president again, or what if Joe Biden becomes president? Whatever your fears are, doesn't even need to be personalized, because there's questions with each of them.
Yeah. What's interesting is when I was living in the United States full time, which makes sense, my reality, it felt like the US and what was going on with the US politically was sort of at the center of everybody's consciousness. It ain't. And it's interesting because I still have, I don't know, maybe about 20 or so clients in the United States that I see regularly. And what I find fascinating is like my younger clients, they never ever, this is not top of mind for them at all. At all. It is mostly my clients in their 50s and older in the US that this is top of mind. And there's something about that I find fascinating. It's almost like sometimes I'll get on a telehealth call, like a video call with a client, and I'll be expecting them to want to talk about or have feelings or something's come up for them around what's happening with regards to this thing called democracy at home, and they don't talk about it. It's not at the top of their mind. Like their relationships are at the top of their mind. Their finances are at the top of mind, without like making this connection between what happens in the political realm has a direct impact on what they experience in those realms of their life. Especially like I have a lot of queer clients, a lot of LGBTQI clients. Still, not really looking at how what is happening politically right now might shape if they can even be married to the person they love anymore. So like I find that really interesting. because I think there's something about that disconnect, which is connected, no pun intended, to where we are right now. That it's not top of mind for lots of young people.
And is that, so yes, I hear you and I agree with you. And there's also a level at which I go, and I'm just throwing it out there, like, and is that a good thing? Or is that
Yeah.
I mean, like sometimes when I talk about, topical things with younger people, and when I say younger, I'm talking 30s, not
Mhm.
like 15. It's like there's a definite different perspective. I mean, and what I might term as not necessarily, I mean, I'm not judging it, it's not necessarily
Mhm.
existing, but it is, I do think that there is an awareness, there's different awarenesses, there's different, I don't know. It's, I mean, I'm sure every generation has said this on some level, but I do believe that going forward, it's going to be fascinating. I don't know that I'll be here to see it, but to see what, the younger, like teenage generation, how they morph into the world,
Mm. Mm.
because they, like, I mean, I remember in high school, yeah, I didn't really care about government or civics or any of those things. However, I did grasp the concepts.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It didn't mean I was going to go out and be, a great historian about these things or anything. But I got it, and I got why it was important and all of that. And
Mm.
I don't know, like when I have a conversation with my godkids, it's like they don't know anything about anything.
Look, I don't know if my generation was one of the last generations to even have civics as a requirement. Like I know it was a requirement for me. Um, my lovely coworkers, they think I'm in my 30s. We know that's not the case. Um, uh, but I had civics. Civics was a requirement, and I was in student government, and I was in student government all through. So like high school, university, I was in student government all the way into graduate school. I was in graduate student government. So like I actually thought at one time I would go into politics, but I no, like it was just it was top of mind because it was a core part of our curriculum. And even then I remember learning about democracy and learning we actually what we have in the United States really isn't a democracy, right? It's not democracy. We have a representative democracy. We don't have an actual democracy where every single person voice really counts. I don't want to say that. I want to be really mindful about how I say this. But we have a representative democracy. We don't have a true democracy. But I remember realizing that early on. I feel like now that I have to vote in Australia, like it's compulsory, it's the law. You get fined if you don't vote. Even though this is a parliamentary democracy, I feel like it is more representative of what I learned a democracy is. There's more than two parties here. And those parties, even if they're small, they come together to form coalitions. And it really does make a difference in how life, what we see and experience in life here. All right. It was amazing to see how people rallied when they tried to take away the Queen's birthday as a public holiday. People will like their paid days off here. It's like the Queen died, but they were like, keep our public holiday. So now they get the King's birthday and the Queen's birthday, but the people, like they really do have a government that represents their interests, and that's their interest, having paid holidays. So, and we don't have that in the U.S. But I really hope that whatever this change is we're going through in the US, when it really does hit people who aren't paying attention to how we actually are these really powerful points of consciousness on the planet, like we really are powerful. Like we are like little batteries, little points of universal power. Makes me think of the Matrix again. I have clients that I talk to never even heard of the Matrix. However, but we are. And when we realize that, I hope that we figure out a way to come together collectively to really utilize that in a way that I can't speak for the founding fathers because they weren't thinking really about women. They weren't thinking about people of color. And I think we were meant to build on those founding foundations, to grow them, for them to breathe and evolve. Yeah, I just think I don't know. I just feel like we have a long way to go.
A what?
A long way to go in the U.S.
Well, yes.
We're a young country. The U.S. is a young country.
It is a young country, and I mean, I think there's a long way to go everywhere. You know, I mean, we can point different ways and go, it's better here, it's different here, it's this there, and and it is, and I think we all have good points, you know, and it would be great if there was like, you know, more awareness around different things, and also just that what worked yesterday isn't necessarily going to work today.
No, things need to grow, evolve. They need to breathe. You know, the universe is alive. Like
so, but back to the question, because the question is, so what do you tell clients, or what would you suggest in terms of any kind of angst around what's going on now? Any kind of fear or any kind of concern, or, you know, just uneasiness? It doesn't even have to be drastic, but like, what is it that you recommend or would say to clients?
Yeah. So what I was saying earlier is, one, I don't have a lot of clients that are asking those things right now. But two, the ones that are, I really direct folks to look at how is what's happening in the political world. Like, what is that? How is that reflective of something inside of yourself? Right. And more than anything, I go back to like, what does authentic power look like, and how do you connect? How does one connect with their authentic power? How do I connect with my authentic power to make the shifts that are necessary? Because I think that there's just this thing that, you know, power is about changing the outside world so that I can be comfortable, right? That's not authentic power. Authentic power is about how do I stay alive within myself, remember myself as a point of power, a point of consciousness in this thing we call the universe, and to know that whatever I'm seeing out there, if it is pushing on angst, anxiety, fear, doubt, worry, then I'm in the realm of fear. And I know when I'm in fear, that it's that we can't also be in love. So what would it look like to make the loving choice, both in how I perceive what I'm seeing and how I experience myself as a part of it? What does that look like? And it's from that place that we make contact with authentic power. And we're not so ready to like just hand our lives over to what is playing out politically. Because at the end of the day, it really is us, people, individuals, that give our power away. Mm-hmm. And what happens when we say no? No, you don't just get to have that. You don't just get to have that. You don't get to decide how I live, how I feel, how I think about myself. Because ultimately, again, I think what we're seeing out there in the world is reflective of things that I think are going on inside of a lot of people at the individual level. How do we just give up our power in our life?
Right. So I think what I'm hearing you saying is, where are we putting our power?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And really,
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the thing to be with. If you're, if you're just watch it. It's not even a really, there's not a right or wrong answer, but just watch it and inquire and see, also I would add to that that, if you're noticing that angst or that dis discomfort or
Mm,
uneasiness, like what is it that you can do, you to
mm-hmm.
to ease that, as opposed to just sitting back and armchair quarterbacking the situation, you know.
Yes, for
So I want to
sure.
make sure and get our pulled card
Yes.
in our last few minutes. So I am shuffling the deck, and this is our card for you to take out into the week. We'll see what comes up after this discussion. And here we go. I think this one. Rejuvenating rain. Clear the past, heal the present.
Okay.
Rejuvenating rain. Clear the past, heal the present. Well, I would have to say that I think that definitely goes with just the conversation around politics.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
I mean, with truly finding, how do we clear the past and get ready for the present? Because whatever the present is, I mean, whatever happens, it's still a new paradigm where it's not necessarily, even though we act like we're going to be going back to if Trump gets elected, whereas, even if Biden gets elected, we're not going back to the old, so I
Or
think
somebody else get elected altogether. I don't know.
stranger things have happened. But I mean, I think it's really clearing the past and what are you willing to make space for? What are
Mm,
you willing to make space for in your life and in the world? Because
yeah.
I think that's a big conversation, I mean, I think that's a whole nother show in that even when we think we're letting go of certain things, we tend to hold on to our beliefs or hold on to our convictions or hold on to, the way we
Mm,
think it should be.
mm-hmm.
So, in this time of rejuvenating rain, can you let that rain really wash down and clear the past? And can we step into a new place,
Mm.
regardless of who lives in the White House,
Yeah.
anywhere?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think it's really important to remember, for me, I remember a really big learning for me is like life goes on. Life will continue to go on. And what happens in the US isn't all there is. Um,
What?
it's,
What? What do you
I
mean?
know we're raised to think we're the center of the universe, and it's true. There's very few places you can go and you don't see cultural elements of what is the United States there. But there are a lot of people who don't think about the US at all. So my heart, my love, everything is there with my brothers, my sisters, um, my gender non-conforming people in the US. I like my heart is with everyone. And I think it's important to remember there's a whole wide world out here. Yeah. There's a whole wide world out here, and um, we all have a right to live well, regardless. So,
So keep a prayerful heart,
mm-hmm.
you know? And
Yeah.
I would encourage everybody not necessarily to pray for specific things that you want, as opposed to really praying for the highest and best and peace and, equity and love
Yeah.
on the planet. Because Lord knows it can use some.
I I really am gonna go back to that. Look at how are you connecting to your authentic power? how are you connecting to your authentic power?
Yeah.
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 And we know we're connecting with our authentic power when our soul and our personalities are in alignment. Our soul's calling and our personality are in alignment.
Yeah.
We're moving from authentic power.
Beautiful. Beautifully said. Guys,
Mm.
so I'd encourage you to take that, allow that rejuvenating rain to just cleanse your spirit and to go to that place of inquiring, going deep within about your authentic self, your authentic power, and everything that beautiful Natasha just said. So we're going to leave you today, and I'm feeling called to just do a little prayer for the planet.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So here we are, Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Thank you for joining us. And we, as girls and women and men and boys, as we unite, we know that we truly are the center of the world. That we lift this world up, that we lift it up to the higher vision, to the higher knowing, that peace will prevail, that love will prevail. And yes, it may not look the way that everybody thinks it should, but at the end of the day, there is a knowing and a being that is transmitting all, that allows us to be so grateful. So grateful for our lives, so grateful for the possibilities, so grateful for the choices that we get to make. And so we choose wisely and we choose love. And so knowing this, we just allow it to do its thing, to be love, to permeate the planet and make more love everywhere. And just allow it to be and say, and so it is.
And so it is.
Amen. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We will see you next week right here on Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Bye.
Peace and blessings, everybody.